It is exactly 4 minutes after 8 o'clock. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the program. This is News and Views with me, Julie Ali. Lots coming up on the show, but as we have our first guest standing by already, let's rather get into that interview on this beautiful morning, the 18th of September 2024. I will give you a rundown of the rest of the show a little later on. But of course, we are going to be talking about something pretty important, and that, of course, is the breaking news that thousands have been injured in the shocking Hezbollah explosion. And we're going to unpack all of this with security and threat risk expert with the Institute for Security Studies right here in South Africa. And that, of course, is you, Willem. Elsevier, good morning to you. Welcome to the program.
Good morning to you.
So I kind of guess that this is going to obviously create a lot of panic. And this might also influence Hezbollah's approach to technology, potentially pushing them to upgrade their systems or rethink their communication strategies. We're talking specifically about this event, and we do know that possibly Hezbollah is in panic mode right now, but it sends a very, very strong signal to governments all around the world regarding their technology and the use of their technology.
Of course, yes. If we look at recent history, if we saw what happened if you can compare what happened in Ukraine, where the use of common drones, commercial drones that cost a few dollars, that were used to actually defeat hundreds of millions of dollars worth of military hardware. It just changed the course of history and just how technology in terms of cyber technology and specifically really influenced the way we think and the way we operate just in a matter of 18, 20 months. It's just unbelievable. So yes, what is happening in Lebanon and surrounding areas is actually unfolding. So we are still gathering a lot of information about that. But yes, this is a ground shifting event that has taken place. We can gather that of course this technology was replaced several months ago because of the fear that it might have been breached. And then we saw that this attack is just unprecedented in terms of exposing the structures and where the operatives are and the positions and the numbers and who they are and so from an intelligence perspective, this is a massive breach that has taken place. And of course, like you said, yes, we believe that Hezbollah and of course their allies might be in panic mode at the moment.
Absolutely. And you do raise a very important issue around drone technology. It has truly changed the landscape, the military landscape, so to speak. I mean, it serves us very well as far as agriculture and other such matters are concerned. But as far as military operations are concerned, it changes that landscape so vastly, as you mentioned, the Ukrainian situation, and probably how it's going to be used elsewhere in the world. So things are getting very, very tricky, very volatile. And I just kind of wonder, should a third world war break out, what would that mean for the global community? In the past, we were worried about, obviously, nuclear armaments and weaponry, but drone technology too creates a whole different ball game, does it not?
It's very true, and that is your so-called your dual purpose equipment that has been used. So for your drones are, as you mentioned, it is used in agriculture and for other peaceful purposes as well. But it can also be applied for military type of operations, and that also rewritten the rule books in the recent past. And that the same goes for your cyber warfare, your cyber environment. But also, what is alarming is your good and your bad of your artificial intelligence that is coming to the forth now, and how that is also going to influence the future of our planet. If it should be used for peaceful and for purposes, it might just benefit us. But also, we see that it's got a lot of applications in the military field that also might be able to rewrite the rule books.
Absolutely. You talk about cyber warfare. I think the other issue as well is biological warfare. That is even deadlier than one could even imagine. When we look at the COVID pandemic, and we know what the conspiracy theorists are suggesting about that event in world history, but we realize just how potentially dangerous, very insidious, because, it's not. It's not apparent to the naked eye, so to speak, but very, very deadly indeed.
Yes, and in the past we prepared for conventional warfare when it comes to when we sort of predicted and look at this different scenarios for Third World War and how it will play out in a symmetrical conventional type of warfare. But we see with the technology that is developed, it just opens the door for asymmetrical warfare to really to take its place. So that poses a problem, especially to your super powers like Russia and China and America and the others, where they invest billions and billions in their conventional warfare technology and all these things, and where if you look at your COVID that was here, it is very easy to start a pandemic if you have got the know-how and very little infrastructure, and depending on the type and the strain that is being used and how you roll it out, it is just unlimited, the opportunities that can be happen. So it's very difficult to plan and to really try to prevent something like that, just because it is just so open and so like they say, when you look at your asymmetric warfare and your attacker, they the type of weapon, the type of attack, and how they're going to do it, it depends on the ingenuity of the attacker. So there's no rule book for that, and that is why it is so difficult to prevent that and to plan to counter it.
I guess we are talking about this Hezbollah attack, and it really is going to get all of the military experts all around the world to go back to the drawing board as far as this incident is concerned, because it was handheld pages within their operations. And that was, of course, used for their military coordination. Um, Also, we need to look at the possible technical failures or external sabotage that could have led to these pages
Mhm.
exploding. I guess the big question is the integrity of these devices. I mean, again, a handheld pager, who would ever think that that could end up being a deadly weapon?
Of course, but it's been coming a long way as with the development of technology. We saw there were quite a few attacks and even some assassinations just by the use of a common cell phone that has been modified either as an explosive device or as a homing device for a missile that has been fired. Like we said, technology has really changed our world, and it's going to do so in the future as well. And the challenge for the powers that be is to keep one step ahead or to catch up. And unfortunately, it seems that most of the time they have to play catch up because technology is so fast developing.
So, Willem, let's look at this particular incident, and that's the Hezbollah situation. This then would reflect a critical lapse in their operational security, I guess suggesting vulnerabilities in their communication infrastructure. I
Mhm.
suppose this now is going to lead to a thorough investigation to understand the technical causes and to prevent similar incidents in the future, not only for Hezbollah, but once again, military personnel or experts that work with these type of devices, etc., and all other devices, there's going to be a scramble to investigate and to do thorough investigation regarding this particular incident, which is now creating a ripple effect, I should imagine, all around the world.
Yeah, I think this event should not be underestimated. I think this is really groundbreaking. It's rewritten the rule books and everything that we know. It is really, the impact on that is just tremendous on both sides. If you look on the Hezbollah side, you'll know the whole structures have been exposed. It was from an intelligence perspective. It was absolute a coup from the Israeli side, if it were the Israelis that did it, because they haven't accepted. But let's assume that happened. So for them, from an intelligence perspective, it exposed all the operators, exposed their positions, it exposed the structures, because we would assume that this new technology will be rolled out to all your command structure and to your senior operatives before it is rolled out further down the food chain. So that from an intelligence perspective is just unimaginable how much value that is for the opposing side, but also how damaging it is for the Hezbollah structures. It will take them years to recover and to restructure, but also it will impede and inhibit your further communications. In the past we saw, and if we can look at for instance, let's just take the example of Al Qaeda and Osama Bin Laden. He survived for many years while he's been severely tracked and pursued by the superpowers, and amongst them America, and where he actually refrained from using technology, and it came out in the investigations that they actually made use of thumb drives or memory sticks, that they downloaded their information, their communications, and they made use of couriers to transport that between the two parties. If they wanted to communicate, they refrained from using technology because of this vulnerability that is inherent in your technology.
And despite all of that, he was eventually tracked down and killed in Pakistan. But let's explore that a little further right after the ad break. My guest is Willem Els. He is he's a security and threat risk expert with the Institute for Security Studies. We'll continue the discussion in a minute or two.
Discover the Africa of your dreams and surround yourself with her spectacular beauty. Relax beneath her serene sunsets and explore wildlife at its natural best. It's where the pride of Africa comes together. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve. Get to know the Big Five or cruise on an elephant safari game drive. Interact with lion and tiger cubs and enjoy world-class halal cuisine while we pamper you during your 5-star stay. Indulge in the true African experience. For reservations, call now on 042-203-1400 or visit kwantu.co.za. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve, the place of gathering.
After the recent attacks on Gaza, many families have been displaced, with their homes left destroyed. Through your donations, our teams are on the ground in Gaza, providing support and delivering necessary aid to families affected. The people of Gaza need your help. Give hope. Donate today to Penny Appeal South Africa. www.pennyappeal.org.za 031 1100 573.
We are here on the ground with many appeal organizations in Gaza.
party, corporate event, or any special occasion, Kani's Catering Services got you covered. Our catering services are here to elevate your event to unforgettable heights. From tantalizing appetizers to mouth-watering main courses and desserts, our culinary creations are crafted with passion and precision to delight your guests' taste buds. Our spit braai is a talk of the town. Indulge in succulent, tender meats, slow roasted to perfection over an open flame. Kani's Catering Services chefs bring creativity and expertise to every dish they prepare, ensuring that each bite is a culinary masterpiece. We take care of your guests while you relax and enjoy every moment of your function. Whether it's plated meals to a simple buffet, we are on top of it all. Ready to start planning your perfect event? Get in touch with us today to discuss your catering needs and request a personalized quote. Let us take your event to the next level with our exceptional catering services. Kani's Catering Services, situated at number 373 Jabund Lovo Street, Pietermaritzburg. Call now 033 342 3511 or email us on info@kanis.co.za for Pietermaritzburg and surrounding areas only. Visit www.kanis.co.za.
Connect and stay ahead with Salam. This is Salam Media, coming to you live from South Africa.
Welcome back. It's exactly 8:21 a.m. This is News and Views on Salam Media, and our first guest is Willem. He is a security and threat risk expert with the Institute for Security Studies. Willem, what comes to mind as well regarding this incident, this attack on Hezbollah, is possibly, I guess, the big question to ask is the reliance on their communication technology. Does this suggest that perhaps their technology is outdated, insecure, and going forward, I also wonder what that means for other groups, particularly in conflict zones. What also comes to mind for me are the Yemenis, the Houthis, who are also supporting the Palestinians regarding the genocide on the Palestinian people. And we know that they have been firing all sorts of rockets and missiles into Israel. Let's look at those two scenarios then, and the sophistication of both Hezbollah and, of course, the Houthis in support of the Palestinian cause.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I think for them, it's all of them, it's back to the drawing board in terms of their way of operation and communications. We know in any operation, communications are vital, especially if it's spread out over a big area. And so with technology, like I mentioned, you got all these benefits of technology that you can use to your own benefit, and but it also comes with a lot of challenges and possible breaches that can occur. But there might be two scenarios here. In the first place, of course, the technology what is new. We believe it's about it's been replaced about five months ago, so it's the latest encrypted technology in the Persia industry that has been used. It has been purchased because of the secure communication that can take place, and also to prevent the breaching of the security. So the very fact that they were able to do that should be very concerning to them. And secondly, also what it emanates, it seems, if you look at from a technical perspective, the explosions that took place. There's not a lot of information available, but looking at the footage, and myself coming from an explosive expert background for 24 years, where we investigated a lot of these of explosions and then reconstructed the devices and testified in court on that. You look at the dynamics there should have been explosives involved, and not only the batteries. If you look at the blast dynamics there, it must have been quite a small amount high explosives that's been used. So that means that that there must have been a supply chain breach as well. So you're not looking at the cybersecurity breach, but also the supply chain breach, and that should be worrying for these guys, because somewhere along the line they have been compromised in two levels.
Obviously, this raises the huge issue. I think I've already touched on it briefly earlier on in the interview. But when we look at the sophistication of military technology by the big players, UK, US, who are supplying Israel with weaponry, etc., and of course, the impact would also be Ukraine. That's also in the picture, and other military zones. This does, of course, shift. I guess really the question is around geopolitics in the Middle East, and of course in the region, in Ukraine, because there's a war playing out there as well. How does this shift power balances? And added to that, let me complicate my question even further, Willem, is war conflict zones in Africa, do they not enter this space at all, or this picture at all, simply because they don't have the technical know-how or the finances to invest in this type of technology? We know what's happening in Sudan, in the DRC, and other places in Africa.
Yeah, it's a multi-pronged question. But if you look at what is really unfolding and becoming very clear here, warfare. Two things about warfare: there are no winners in a war. Everybody is a loser at the end of the day. That's the first thing. And then the second place is it is very expensive to go into a war. From a conventional perspective, it costs billions and billions of rand. We see the aid that has been donated by America in terms of weapons, and by the other allied countries that are supporting Ukraine. We see that how it is draining the economy of Russia in order to maintain the conflict there, just to use that for example. But we also see that the most effective weapons that are being used in the recent 18 to 20 months is actually your very cheap and very commercial type of drones and other technologies that are being developed and improvised, and they are countering the might of the superpowers with that. I mean, the mere fact that Ukraine, that is basically almost a province compared to the might and the size and of Russia, the way they managed to contain and even to advance in many instances, that is not purely because of conventional type of warfare. It is this new type of technology that doesn't cost you that much. I mean, those drones that are being used cost anything from a few hundred rand to a few $100. And by converting that, adapting them, and just minor changes where they're looking at innovations in technology, especially on the electronic side and the scrambling side, and how they manage to overcome the other side in terms of technology. It's just unbelievable how cheap warfare has become. When it comes to the cost, if you look at this new type of technologies that are extremely effective and that are actually defeating superpowers with their mighty war machines, with a dollar of a few $100, that's like taking out, like I mentioned, a tank of a few $100 million. So it's changed the dynamics even for your poorer countries, because. And we will see now that this type of cheaper technology that is so effective might in future, even countries in Africa that can't afford all that expensive military hardware, they can start to employ this improvised and dual use technology, and it can actually escalate wars. It can actually cause wars, because it's not expensive to venture into an attack than it used to be 3 to 4 years ago.
So obviously, it does suggest that the geopolitics in these different areas are at a very fragile stage because of the advancement in technology. And as you rightly say, you don't need expensive warfare, technological warfare, because this can be produced very, very cheaply. You made a comment which is really struck a chord for me, and you're saying there are no winners in a war, and I can't agree with you even more, because once these wars are over, um, sadly, in a lot of cases, it's all about greed, power, possession, ownership, and whatever else is on the agenda, um, colonization, and all of those issues are reasons for why we have wars in different parts of the world. Exactly what is happening in the Ukraine and what's happening in the Middle East by Israel on the Palestinian people. And when you say there are no winners in wars, I think the simplest thing, if people kind of question that comment that you've made, is look at the destruction in the infrastructure of the beautiful country that once was, and how many generations it's going to take to rebuild those towns and cities, let alone the lives lost, because you can't put a cost on a life at all.
You're so right. Just look at a very common example, and that is of the Second World War. Even if you travel today to Europe and you move amongst and I work there quite often, the sentiments between the different sides on ground level are still there. The emotional scars that was left by the Second World War that happened almost 100 years ago. It's unbelievable that impact. They managed to rebuild Europe. It cost them many years to do that. They will never be able to restore it to its former glory. All the treasures, the buildings, and all the other things that have been destroyed. But also, your impact on the people. The psychological impact on those people, and the hate that is being created, and that actually trickles down from generation to generation to generation. If we look at South Africa, we 30 years past the apartheid era, and even today, children that were born after the apartheid era, they still suffer, and they still live in that and with that memory, and it's been passed down from generation to generation. And unfortunately, you have two angles. You can either take the positive angle or the negative angle and try to reinforce the good or reinforce the bad. It depends on where you're coming from. But that also brings together that for years and years to come, the effects of that war will still haunt us.
Absolutely. And that's the intergenerational trauma that you talk about. It does take many generations to overcome it. Let's wrap up now in two very important questions. This obviously then suggests the importance of developing international standards being the key word here, for military communication technology to minimize risks associated with it. And coming right back to Hezbollah, because this is where it all started, is the need for all military organizations, including Hezbollah, to remain vigilant about the security of the communication systems to obviously avoid breaches such as these in the future.
Of course, if you look at the two great wars, similar to what we have here, where we have new technology and new things that actually influence the course of war, that was new to the war back then. And then we're looking at your chemical and your biological weapons that have been used in especially the Second World War, started in the First World War. So that happened that after the war, the international community had to go and sit down, and they had to dot down the new rules of warfare. And that's where your Geneva Convention and all the other conventions coming in, where they actually dotted down rules of engagement, and also how warfare will be fought in a more humane manner, if you can call it that. So what we see now, the emergence of asymmetrical warfare, it changed also the dynamics, and now also this technology. So maybe it is time for the world to sit down and we're also always going to have wars, because we are human people and there will always be differences. But how are we going to mitigate that? By drawing up new rules and see how we can get the buy-in from the international community in order to agree to those rules of warfare.
Willem, I can't tell you what a pleasure it's been talking with you this morning. You truly know your stuff. You are security and threat risk expert with the Institute for Security Studies. You've been in this game for over 24 years. But I just want to end on a comment. You don't need to respond. You talk about new rules of warfare and engagement, and international organizations having to sit down to start working on new rules of an engagement. Very, very sadly, I kind of wonder, would countries really abide by it? Because look how Israel is flaunting every rule in the book. As far as humanitarianism is concerned, it is absolutely shocking what they're perpetrating on the Palestinian people. And I'm sure you'll agree with me on that point. And you kind of wonder, even if we put these rules down, won't you have another Israel in the future coming along and flaunting those rules and causing ethnic cleansing and genocide? But let's leave it there. I thank you indeed for your time and your expert input on the show this morning. God bless and go well.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
It is exactly 8:36. News and Views moving along. Our next guest is Yasin Johar. He's with the Hanover Park Community Policing Forum. He is the secretary, and we're going to be talking about escalating gun violence on the Western Cape.